a little bit about, I want to know a little bit about you guys, and then I'll tell you our story. So,
I'm the assistant for Steve Cobb.
Yep.
And I'm his wife. So,
how long have you been doing that?
not quite a year. So I'm kind of part-time, but I'm going to start being more full-time. So I'm excited to learn more and to help him more and
So-
let him know that he needs help. So, you know, he has an idea of, I need help with these things.
But you see there's greater potential.
Could be, yeah.
So what do you think his strengths are? And what are your strengths? So how are you guys complementing each other?
Well, he's very good at networking and
I was going to say he's a good people person.
yes, very, very good. And well, I would say social media, but we haven't gotten, he's been good at social media for a long time, but not really so much for the business yet. So we'll get that going. And then
Do you have a business page?
We do.
Okay.
And then I'm more organized, paperwork type person. And our son is also a realtor now, and he's forming a team in Jackson's. And be on our team too. So
Yay.
he's my he's my daughter's boyfriend for 4 years, so he's family.
Yeah,
So,
he's-
yeah.
You've adopted him as your son.
Yeah.
Marriage doesn't determine that.
Yeah,
It's a
that's right.
relationship.
So we're excited to grow our team.
So fun. Son in the business.
Wow.
So my daughter's been with me for 8 years and my son for 4 years. Don't have any of the other children in the business, though I've asked them and they won't do it.
He might come around.
They might come around. I hope so. I enjoy having family in the business. It's too cool. All right, your turn.
Okay. Well, as far as coming to the Cobb team, I mean, I'd say I'm pretty sociable. That's like one of my strengths. I mean, I feel like I'm good with the networking too, but not as much with the details and everything. So, but I'm working on that. But I'm constantly working on my own database because I already own my own construction business right now. So
Oh,
just
yay.
trying to branch out.
Yeah.
So I felt like the realtor job would complement well.
So do you plan on doing this full-time and still doing some construction stuff?
I'm
Or are
trying to
you going to
phase
use your
out. I'm
Okay.
trying to phase out and just do more of the realtor work and everything. But I do like having my construction business.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It's going to be handy whenever you're walking through and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very handy. I love it. So you guys have all desk test. Have y'all all desk test? So what are you? Do you remember?
Yeah, because
You're probably in the
C,
I.
It just keeps going down. So the D and the I are the highest. And
I thought
at
so.
least, yeah.
Yeah. Cindy, what are you? Are you an S and C?
I don't remember. I think so.
Yeah, S is more social, so S is still people oriented. C is task oriented. And typically an I and an S needs a C. Typically in the team structure. I mean, I have to have some C's around me because I'm just not an I daughter. I mean, I don't even see misspellings sometimes because I'm just all about the communication in the idea I'm trying to convey, not the technical side of things. Yeah, Margaret.
Well, I kind of came on the Paragon team because through a series of unfortunate events, Stacy Olmstead kind of hired me as her assistant. So right now I'm kind of learning the process and kind of getting my feet underneath me and just trying to learn everything I can before I kind of branch out to doing my own transactions.
So are you, how long have you been on Stacy's team?
I started with her as her assistant in February, but I just recently got licensed, so I've only been actually on the team for a couple weeks.
Did you join her because she asked for support and, or needed support and had posted that, or how did that come about?
No, it was actually through a networking event at Coffee with the Mayor.
Uh-huh.
We found out that she was looking for someone to kind of help be her assistant and do some marketing for Robin too. So
Mhm.
I was looking for a job, so it just kind of came together.
That's cool. What's your background?
Actually, I worked with Preston for a while at
Full Bellies?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and my college background has nothing to do with it, so.
Actually, it may, I mean, what is it?
It was music and sociology. So
You'll-
related.
Yeah, but no,
But I was born and
yeah.
raised in Sherman, so I know the
Yeah, I
area,
mean,
know
the
people.
disciplines and the disciplines for being a musician, but doing it out of passion, I mean, everything correlates. Everything, and then the sociology, you'll be using the heck out of that, so don't underestimate your education on that side. But welcome.
Hi, I'm Erin.
Hi,
I work
Erin.
for Ronnie Cole.
You got a fun job, don't you?
He is a handful.
Yes, he is.
He's fun. I've been there since April, the end of April. I grew up in Denison and then I've been gone for over 25 years. And then Margaret, through an unfortunate circumstance, my mom passed away and I ended up coming back here temporarily. And when I was here, because of COVID, she passed away and I just haven't left. So,
What about your mom?
thank you. Ronnie he's great. If you know him, he's very active in the community. But he doesn't, he's not real detail oriented and he's flat and constantly on the go. And, so I have to pull a lot of information from him.
I imagine.
Yeah.
I don't know, he'd be like herding cats too. I mean, all of you guys are herding cats. Probably feels that way sometimes. It's hard. And I think whenever we go through some of this, I'm going to keep this super high level without you guys getting overwhelmed. And then we're going to figure out what part of it we need to do next week and break it down into actionable, items. And you'll have a little bit of homework because y'all need to do a little research before we can, talk about it next week or work through it. Preston, you and I have met several times. Give me an update on what's going on in your life and business.
Kind of gone flat on business. I was out of town for about a month, almost a month and a half, so that kind of threw everything out. And then I'm just trying to get back to where I was, really.
Okay, what activities are you doing right now?
Chamber events, pretty much all the air. Started doing my calls, mailing,
What calls are you making off of what list?
friends list.
Okay.
Trying to falling out.
That already know you, like you, trust you.
Yeah.
How many of you guys are in your CRM all day, every day for yourself or for the Realtor you support? No? What CRM are y'all even set up using?
Monday.
Monday? Is that what everybody's on? Before we even get started, so how many are set up in Monday and have your people all sorted by friends and family? For Ronnie, it'd be business acquaintances because he's got a bazillion of them, and then clients, buyer and seller sides. I mean, same thing for Robin and Stacy. They've both been in the community forever. Well, and Steve too. How many of you guys even have your database set up where you feel like you know where to go to get a list of people you could call? Is Steve set up? That really,
It won't help me, really. So
That really,
information in.
that is like the foundation to growing your business, is having your database set up and knowing that, okay, today is this day, and because it's this day, these are the people that I need to be reaching out to. And this is what I'm gonna say to them, and because this is who this list is for, so you can be very specific with your messaging. That is foundation, is to have that database of people to call. What's great about a CRM is it allows you to organize that database and set reminders. So part of what I had hoped to do is go over what I wanted to work on for the next couple of weeks. There are exercises throughout this entire packet, so we can work on one exercise at a time, so that by the time we get done, we really have a good business marketing plan put together and a calendar that follows it. But first, you got to do some of the foundation work. And part of that foundation work is being familiar with your CRM and getting it set up. So I would be thinking about all of the different categories. What categories does Stacy and Robin have?
Well, I don't really prefer to use Monday because I'm just more of a hands-on and physically writing things down. So I use it to, so we have our database, it's in there, and I know that's a backup to where I can go to find everyone, but I don't use it every day. I mean, I don't use it to help organize myself and Stacy, because she doesn't really use it either.
Well, and the thing is, once you get to Stacy's level, and once you have, a bazillion, Ronnie Cole was mayor of Denison, and his dad, Manuel Cole, I worked with 25 years ago when he was a builder, and Ronnie wasn't even in real estate at the time. And so, I mean, Ronnie and Stacy and Robin have the luxury of, and Steve too, just knowing a bazillion people, and they attract business. But when business slows down, or you're not getting, or you're new to the business, having that CRM set up and organized, so you know based on, I need more business. All right, where are you going to go to get it? To me, it's like having a 5-acre tract of land with multiple ponds with different fish in each pond. And I decide what fish I want today. And I can go to the pond that I want to go to for that particular fish and sticking my pole in the water. Or if I choose, rather than stick a pole in the water and picking up a phone and making calls to individuals, I can choose to cast a net instead and get a bunch of fish. And so there's multiple ways of doing it. But your CRM, you got to think of your CRM as being your 5-acre tract of land with all of these ponds, and everybody's got a category that you stick them in, so that whenever you do need more business, you can go to that pond. Now, whenever the problem is, if you wait until business is down to pick up the pole and go fishing, it's going to take a little while till you get enough fish to have a feast, right? So if you're fishing in it consistently, then you don't ever have those ebbs and flows. It's just a steady business. And when you've been doing it for a long time, like for me, it's easier for me to stay consistent. Now, I may have big months, really big months, versus just a normal steady month. But I don't have the real dip downs, and it's different for me than it is for Brandy, because Brandy's been in the business for less time, and she also hasn't been focused on fishing all the time. And so as you guys are supporting a team or you're building a team, that CRM is your basic, it's your foundation. So if you don't have that established, you really need to get that established. And so that's not in this packet, but you guys have got to be thinking about what are the different categories I want, because most of those CRMs will let you label however, and friends and family have got to be on there. If they're not on there, then don't get pissed off whenever you see on Facebook that one of your close friends or a family member bought a house and didn't even call you, or sold their house, and another realtor posts a picture with them. Don't get pissed off if they weren't in your CRM and you weren't staying in touch with them. So Friends and family needs to be a category. Business acquaintances need to be a category. And then you have your past customers, it needs to be a category. Your open house prospects need to be a category. If you're brand new to the business, just going to the open house and keeping up with everybody that walks through the door, they all need to go in the CRM. And then the same thing for any of your buyer prospects and your sellers prospects. If we do this CMA contest, everybody, well, number one, you're gonna need that list of people to call. So whenever you have activities like that, that forces you to create a list and then report those results. Once you have that list established, then you've got to establish a calendar of when am I gonna call and reach out to these people? Because let's just face it, life happens, right? And if you don't control the chaos will control you all day long, every day. So controlling that chaos is super important. And if you don't have a calendar established and know when you're most productive and when you can be most efficient and how you can be most efficient, then you're not going to get the calls made. All it is a beautiful CRM. But there's no stats to refer back to. I know based on my CRM, I have a process and a system for entering every single referral that's ever sent our way. And sometimes those referrals come to me because I'm at a networking event. Sometimes the referrals come to me because I am, I'm just out and about, or they come to me by text or Facebook Messenger or Instagram or email or whatever. All about that. You told me to call and I didn't do it. He's my accountability partner for making sure that I make it happen. So you guys should be that person once you guys establish, hey, if you talk to someone out and about and we need to follow up with them because you just found out that their mother passed away or that this event happened, they just had a baby or whatever, send me a text message. And you create that, then those are notes that can then be screenshot and forwarded to put into the CRM tool. So you get a reminder the next time you're at the office, do this, this, and that. Or it's just a referral that needs to be entered into the system for you to call, text, email, or whatever your system is for tomorrow. So just establishing that CRM is foundation. Then what are you going to do once you establish it to keep it going? And then how are you going to set up task reminders to make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing to keep things going? And then where on your calendar are you going to work on your business? And that's all super important and questions that only you can answer yourself, but we'll go through as we go through this whole series. Does that sound good? All right. And I want you guys to really think about the fact you are running a business under the umbrella of Paragon. So you are basically like a franchise owner running a business under a Paragon. How you run your business in the real estate community is pretty much however you want to. You just got to pay your royalty or your dues to franchise owner, just like if you were at McDonald's. The only difference is McDonald's is even telling you what kind of napkins you can order through their supplier, what kind of meat you're going to prepare, how you're going to prepare it. You guys have a lot of flexibility. So that's why sitting down and really putting a plan together is super important. I tell folks all the time, whenever you get to this point of the year, you really need to look at this as from this point forward, putting a plan together is really practice. It's like your trial run before 2022. Because if you haven't been working a plan, you're not going to have all of the data you need in order to know what your conversions are. And for most of you guys, if y'all been running a business for a D and an I, which y'all have, then I promise they don't. If you asked Ronnie today, hey, what is your lead conversion? He's going to look at you and throw a pencil at you. Because he doesn't know, because he hasn't been tracking it. You guys are the ones that really need to be I mean, Steve, the same thing. I mean, does he know how many people he needs to talk to in order to get one listing? But when you guys get to a point where you know that, then you can start running a business with predictability. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, because you're paying bills, and you got to pay bills based on what you know you can bring in. So if you know how much you got to bring in, and you know how many people you got to talk to in order to bring that in, then it's just a matter of doing the work. So that's what the business planning is all about, and it just gives you the predictability that you need. But for the next, if we start on this now, and you really have a solid plan in place by September 1, then you have three months to practice. And then you should have enough of a pattern there, if you do it with consistency, that you can plan for 2022. Now, I'm also a big fan, and there is even a portion in there, knowing what your seasons are and what the cycles look like. Even if Stacy and Robin and Ronnie and Steve haven't been tracking the seasons and the cycle, they're still predictable, because you can just ask anybody they'll know it just by gut, even without the data to prove it. So whenever we get to the calendar planning part of it, it even has it broken down by season. And also knowing and understanding, Preston, you were out for how long? A couple of weeks? Yeah. If you know that you're going to, for me, I slow down purposefully. I have 8 grandchildren and 4 children. So the holidays are a big deal for us. That's where a lot of our holiday memories are made, and there's just traditions, and it's time consuming. It's also exhausting, but I don't plan as much during that time of year. Well, what happens? My winters typically, unless I am very focused, my January and February are always going to be down. There was only 1 year in the history. I have been running a structure. I've been in the business since 1996. But it wasn't till it was 7 years ago that I started running my business like a business. Out of all those years, I was still using sticky pads and notepads to make my notes and try to keep up with who I should be calling and what I should be saying. When I started running my business like a business, now I have numbers to go back to. There was only 1 year that I had an exceptional January and February, and you remember that? It was 4 years ago, and it's because I had a coach that was just an asshole of a coach. He pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, and he made us do so many obnoxious amounts of activities in the winter and the fall. So my winter was good, which was all the proof I needed. If I don't want a yucky winter, then I need to do the work in fall. It's the seeds y'all are planting right now that matter. So we'll talk about all of that as we go through this. Anybody have anything they want to share or talk about? Because I've talked too long and you guys need a break from hearing my voice. What resonates with you out of all of that?
Consistent.
Huh? Yeah, it's consistency. If you're going to be gone, that means you got to double up before you go.
There's kind of not one.
Yeah.
Usually you don't know.
You can't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But if that's the case, then there is some options. And if you have that in place now, and there is an emergency, you know things are still taking place on your behalf. We'll talk about that too. What resonates with you?
Well, I think about, now we have a lot of kids too, no grandkids yet, but when Steve was in retail for 25 years, so Christmases were not very fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really love the flexibility of his business, but it would be nice to be a little bit consistent and not have a dip.
Have the dip.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I grew up, my dad was in the car business when I was a kid. And, car dealerships, they barely shut down on Sundays. And the holidays, I mean, he had a day during the holidays, and it was just 2 or 3 holidays out of the entire year. And because of the dip in business during that time of the year, he was just grumpy. My dad just never made holidays fun because business was down and he really didn't have enough time off anyway. And so that was my why on why I wanted the holidays to represent way more than that. You know, we all have that. It's typically, you're doing the opposite of what you experienced as a kid that you end up doing as an adult. And that's, but you're right. I mean, to have it both ways, where you have the time off and the business still coming in would be sweet. And you can create that. Okay. That's, what about you? Thinking about all this, what are the couple of key points that sticks out in your mind since you're starting?
Just working the database, honestly. I mean, you can work on that. That develops the consistency also. So that's just one area that I personally try to work on already. So implementing that into the real estate game.
And let me just tell you from a CRM standpoint, none of them are perfect and they're all basically about the same. I've seen a lot of realtors switch from one platform to another, to another, to another, and they never find the perfect one. The perfect one is the one that you're working consistently every day, and you find the workarounds. Brandy and I used Excel spreadsheets as our database for 6 or 7 years. It's fine too, whatever it is, find where it works. But most of those CRMs, what I love about a CRM is you can set reminders and not have to think about it anymore. I kind of rely on it to think for me. It's just, you just got to get it set up. Yep. What about you, Margaret?
I'm kind of along the same lines, like I'm kind of more in doing Stacy's stuff right now, so keeping up with her stuff, but I haven't really done that on my end to start my own. And just because of my personality, I'm not really the type to want to like bother people and like reach out to them by a phone call or something like that. That's just not who I am. So I have to figure out ways to do it in a way that works for me. So, but it is that consistency, figuring out how, you know, a schedule of how you're going to keep in touch with these people.
And what you're going to say.
Right.
I think it's really important that you understand, what value do I have to give? You don't know that answer unless you ask them, hey, I'm in real estate. People have a ton of questions about real estate. Is there anything that you can think of that I can answer or go find some answers for you? If you guys ever stand in a room and just listen to conversations, especially at a networking event, go stand in the middle of the room and count how long it takes before you hear a conversation about real estate. Exactly. So we think that what we have to offer isn't interesting. If you think that way, go sit at any restaurant or go sit at any networking event and listen to the questions that people are asking or the conversations. And those are your good talking points for people that need to know you're now in real estate. Real estate's interesting to people. And even if their question might just be, hey, we were talking about putting an outdoor kitchen in the house, and we don't know how much value it would add to the house. They have questions. You just need to ask what those questions are and just be of service. You're not selling anything.
Everyone right now wants to know how much their house would sell for.
Yes.
Because of the market.
Hey, that's a great
Everyone's
question. Let me
curious
just
about
put
that, seems like.
let me put those numbers together for you. You don't even have to call it a CRM. I mean, it's CMA. Let me just put those numbers together for you and I'll show you. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the neighborhood. Tell me a little bit about your house. Everybody loves to talk about their house. And then after they, you know, get what information is really matters to a CMA, and put some figures together. And then, hey, the visual that you plant, the seed that you plant in the mind of whoever you're talking to when the next question is, if you were to sell your house and you had this much money to spend, what would you do with that money? A lot of people right now are thinking about putting money back into an emergency fund. Do you have 6 months into savings that covers your overhead? No, ooh, maybe we do need to tap into that equity. Hey, a lot of people with these low interest rates, they can buy more house and have the same payment and still use this equity to create that emergency fund. So the emergency fund needs don't change because their payment's basically going to be the same unless, hey, some people are actually even able to pay off debt, put money back into emergency fund and not change their house payment much because rent payments are so low. But I don't know if that works for you or not. Let me put those figures together for you. Now they now have visualized what it would be like. Number one, they've already self-analyzed the fact that they don't have an emergency fund because what's the percentage, like 5% or 10% of the entire United and all you did is ask a couple of questions. So don't underestimate the value of the information that you have available to you, either through your own knowledge or those around you. Because you have some really experienced, knowledgeable people all around you. And I'll make sure you have my cell number too. For you guys, I'm a text message away from answers or a phone call or schedule. Preston's come into my office and we've talked at least once, if not twice, and then we have an appointment coming up just to do a reset. I love having those one-on-one conversations about how I can help you. You tell me how you'd like to have some help in the business. But your clients go through the team because that's the details part of things. I don't want to get involved in. Brandy's super good at that. She's a loan officer on my team. I've got Will, who's a loan officer on the team, and then Nicole and Michelle. Yeah, we just have a team of licensed people. But so if you have questions, just text me, or if you need those words of encouragement or a script to say, that's what I'm here for. All right, your turn, Erin.
I think, and I don't remember exactly the quote, but the small things you do every day that add up, that really,
It's a compound effect.
yeah, that kept coming to me. It's harder to come in and, just get started with your day and not really think about, especially if it's slow or you don't have like a million different tasks,
It's like, what could I be working on right now that would create some more activity?
Yes.
Yes. Brandy, what do you say about that? Because I know some days you open up your calendar and you're like, okay, it's blank, but I know it can't be blank.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, you just have to keep on doing it, you have to. Because just like she said, I mean, and Preston, just like you, like, I've had lows months, but it's because if I look back, it's like those 60, 90-day activities, I did not like just kill myself over to make calls and do everything that I should be doing, and it shows.
We're going to sit down and I was thinking today, we might even have some time today. And what Brandy and Will had asked for, because it does get overwhelming, it's like, okay, I know I need to be doing something, but the calendar doesn't show me what I'm supposed to be doing today.
Or you get so overwhelmed,
Yeah.
It's like, how am I going to fit all of this into my day?
So what we were going to sit down and do is like, really, okay, let's create what pond am I fishing from each day of the week? So if you sit down and okay, today is Monday. So Monday is a good time for me to reach out to, in our case, it would be reaching out to you guys. Hey, what was your weekend like? What activities can I help you with? Anybody you talk to that has some questions that, I need to follow up on, or I can provide information to you so you can follow up, whatever. Tuesdays for us in our entire office, you'll find all of the processing team is updating everybody on the transaction. You guys in the real estate side could be updating on Tuesdays. Tuesdays should be your update calls. So every seller that you have a listing for, update them. Hey, this is how many showings you've had this week. It's a little bit different now because they're not on the market for very long. And having to catch up any buyers. Hey, we've looked at a bazillion houses. We've lost out on every one of them. Do we need to look at your finances a little bit different? Our conversation on people that haven't been able to find a house has shifted to, hey, do we need to look at how you could maybe pay off some debt, or we can do some other things so that you qualify for a different price range? Because according to what you guys are saying to us, sometimes if we can bump up just $5,000 to get them into a different price range, will determine how many more houses might be available. So those status update calls on Tuesdays are super important for you guys. Then Wednesdays, your pond should be all of your buyer prospects, all of your seller prospects, anybody that you have had a conversation with and are on the prospect list of, hey, we're thinking of selling, or we thought about buying. Those are your people to call. Are you pre-approved yet? If you don't have your pre-approval done, we can't go out house shopping unless you have a pocket full of money. So get that done. Thursdays could be the day that you're scheduling to go show houses, whatever. I mean, just having those theme days. Thursdays is also a good day to pick at least 10 people off your past customer list and just make some phone calls to these people. Hey, we sold you guys a house. Ronnie sold you a house a couple of years ago. He wanted me to check in and just see how things are going. Are you still loving your house? How's the neighborhood? How's the family? You know, just doing those check-ins. My suggestion is go into Facebook and go into Instagram and see what's going on in their life by scrolling a little bit before you pick up the phone, so you look like you're in touch with them and can even, hey, I just saw that you guys went to Florida. How was the trip? Is it something I should put on my list? Whatever. And then Fridays is really a great day to call your favorite people. It's friends, family, and favorites, because that's a great way to end the week with people that you already really like. So if you just established a theme day for each day of the week, so when you do walk in, you know exactly who you're going to talk to and what you're going to say based on who you're calling. And then you have a list because your CRM is set up, super easy. And then the other thing that is so important, and everybody's gotten to get in the habit of doing, is get on social. Because being strategic with social and playing the algorithm game will help your stuff be more present to others. So if you're not playing the game, you are not going to have your stuff seen. So you could be wasting your time and wasting your money. Well, you won't waste money because you'll pay for the views. Then it's all about the messaging. But you got to know what the rules are. And guess what? Facebook and Instagram just changed the rules about 3 weeks ago. I know the rules. I got to put a class together so I can tell them to you. But basically, you got to engage. So every single day, your job has got to be, it is on your list of things you've got to do, is engage on social. You need to comment on at least 5 different people every single day. If you don't know who to comment on, go back to your theme days and go, okay, Mondays, these are the people that I want to do business with. Whether you guys decide that you want to be more engaged with, you're going to these chamber events, that's great, but that's not enough. So who at these chamber events, and what is your follow-up plan for those events? You got to do 2 events a week, but who are you going to follow up with, and what kind of people do you want to build your business with? And if Mondays is the day that you're doing business to business communication, then is it attorneys you want to work with? Is it financial advisors? Is it insurance agents? Because they're good at selling themselves and will sell you too. Or do you need to be working with HR managers at all of these companies in town and trying to get in with them? Do you need to be in with the builders? Do you need, like, how are you building your business? Who are you building your business with? That's your Monday, business to business. Pick out 5 people that you haven't engaged with in a week. Comment on their stuff, share on their stuff, and show emotions. And emotions, like, is not an emotion as far as Facebook is concerned. It's 0. It's 0 credits on the algorithm game. It's got to be love, ha ha, or wow. But sharing is king, commenting is helpful. The emotions are, I mean, it'll help, but the biggest is commenting and sharing. So if you want to get someone's attention, then share and comment on their stuff. And then they'll go, what the heck? Who is this Ronnie Cole guy? And why does he keep sharing my stuff and saying nice things about my stuff? He's going to pick up the phone and call you eventually. Or if notice that they like the comment you made or love the comment you made, go in and PM them. Hey, I'm watching what you're doing. I love your business planning, or I love your marketing, or whatever. Or, hey, I just saw you went on a super cool vacation. Whatever it is, engage. That is still part of knowing your list, what you're going to say, and who you want to build your business with, and just engaging with them. So, so much to this conversation that we'll continue to talk about. We are 1 hour into this, and then we hadn't even opened the packet. But I covered a lot of it, yeah. We'll see how much of it I covered. I just want you guys to see what's in here, and y'all tell me what y'all want to work on next week, okay? Also, before I do that, Shelley Z, I can't ever say her last name, even though she's a really, really dear friend of mine. Wrote this book, My First 360, or Your First 365 Days in Real Estate, because she moved from Canada to Portland, Oregon, not knowing a soul other than her partner. She decided to get into real estate after being in radio marketing forever. Very successful in radio marketing. And she took what she knew about being in sales and being good at radio marketing and applied that to a real estate business, and gave herself some like humongous goals, like being number one in the whole office her first year. Or, wasn't that it? She wanted to be number, I mean, it was a huge goal, but that's how Shelley is. That's how she rolls. So she discovered there is just really not programs out there for new realtors getting into the business that tells you, okay, day one, do this, day two, this, day three, do this, right? And so this book is about her first year journey and what she learned on what to do, when, and why. And she's got some good tactics in it and some worksheets and some things that are super helpful. Preston, you read this book, didn't you?
I started on it.
Okay. You have a copy though?
I do have it.
Pick it up and finish on that book or restart it, because a lot of her principles will align with this. So whoever wants a copy of this book, please take one. She's writing a backup to this book called, that's really focused on marketing, but really who are you messaging to and how are you messaging to them, and just making sure that you've got some clarity around that. And I'll buy her that book in bulk too and share that with you as well.
Did you bring these to the office a while back?
I was gonna
As I
do that
started.
list. There's a list you dropped off
Mm-hmm.
for software. But I don't think we ever get it down to it. I see it.
Take a picture of it or scan it and email it to me. See, I didn't have one of my S's or C's with me. All right. So you guys excited about the next couple of weeks?
I won't be here next week, I'm having surgery, so
Okay.
I'll be back the following week.
Well, make sure you have your homework.
I knew you were gonna say that. I shouldn't have said anything.
Oh,
But yeah,
See, anyway.
that'll give me something to do after surgery.
Yeah, day 2 or 3 after you're off of the pain meds. Actually, I wonder how much great gut felt vision work and planning you would do on pain meds.
Oh, I'm sure that'd be so great.
It might be comical, and then we'll review it afterwards.
Okay. Plan.
That's, sometimes the text messages and things that you say and send, it's like, please take my phone away from me during the first 24 hours after surgery, please. Anyway, what we're going to cover in this packet as we break it down is just really, I just skipped the first couple of pages because I covered a lot of it in our conversation. I love this quote. There is no magic in magic. It's all the details. It's all in the details. That was a Walt Disney magic. You look at some people and you go, man, it's so easy for them. It ain't easy for them. You're just not seeing what's going on behind the scenes.
Success is, their overnight success is 20 years of hard work.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And honestly, I can look back and tell you all the things that I've done wrong, which is why it makes it a little bit easier for me now, because, I mean, I've made all the I haven't made all the mistakes. I'm sure I'll make a lot more, yeah. But you learn as you go. And whenever you're putting these business plans together, I tweak and change them all the time. And I always evaluate my goals halfway through the year, because it's like, okay, am I on track? Am I off track? If I'm off track, do I want to double time it and get back on track, or do I want to reset those goals? And there's not a wrong or right answer, because life may have happened. There may have been a situation that I couldn't have avoided that distracted me. And if this is my time of the year where I really don't want to push as hard, I may not want to double time it to catch up. So I just reset. So the number one, take it for what it is. We all overanalyze and overjudge ourselves, and just don't do it. Just look at those numbers. If you have, for those of you guys who are a support, in a support role, just look, it's easier for you because you're more subjective. But just look at the results of the listings. Where did they come from? Because if you know where your business has come from, then it's easier for you to determine, do I want more of that? Or am I shocked that I didn't get more business from my past clients? And if that's the case, why? But first, let's just start with looking at the numbers. So this would be a great homework assignment. Y'all are going to pick your homework assignment in just a few minutes. The why behind what you're doing. For those of you guys who are assistants, this would be great to have as a blank to give to them, so that you better understand the why, what drives them, what motivates them to do what they do. But this is also great for you to do for yourself. So there's an example and then there's a blank. In the example, yes, I understand there's a misspelling, and that's not my misspelling, although I am capable of misspelling on number one. But whatever your why is, don't judge yourself. And what I love about doing something like this, are you missing this page? No, you're not. Is to set a timer and give yourself like 2 minutes to come up with your whys, so that it's more, you're not overthinking it. You're just writing it down. Don't judge your results. Don't go, well, I want, my why is so that I have X number of dollars in saving. Oops, nope, that's for the wrong reasons. It's not the wrong reasons. Whatever your why is your why, and it's okay. You do not have to explain yourself, and don't judge your why. And then the consequences of inaction, I don't even really care about that right now. I just want you guys to be really clear about why you're doing what you're doing. That's most important. This is the foundation. So if you, to me, you've got to be clear on your why first. Your transaction goals, this is going to be, you're going to put what they are right now, what 2020 looked like, knowing 2020 was kind of a weird year. And for business planning, it might be even better for you guys to look at the established business in 2019 rather than 2020 and 2021. Y'all decide how you want to do the numbers, but the fact is that you need to know where the business has been coming from. And why did it come from all of these sources? Is it because of reputation? Is it because of social media? Is it because of Ronnie or Stacy and Robin and Steve got on the phone and asked for these people? Or do they engage and interact with these people more? Like, why did more of the business come from, or why did the business come from these different categories? Then you can decide if you want more of that, and if so, what you're gonna do in order to have it. But the first, you gotta know what the numbers are. But what you'll find also, this is the power hour, the conversion goal, or the conversation goal is really all about conversions. How many people do you need to talk to in order to reach your goal? 5 prospecting days per week, which means that there's 50 prospecting weeks per year, because you're gonna have some time off. You really need more than 2 weeks off, but assume. That's 250 prospecting days per year. You need to know and understand how many calls you're gonna make on a daily basis. It's 1 transaction for every 40 business-focused conversation with new leads or database contacts. That's the standard conversion. The more laser focused you get, the better your conversion will get. But that's the standard for now, if you haven't been tracking that yourself. There's a class that I teach, and Preston, whenever you're looking at the list from the education committee, and the class is called Know Your Numbers, and this is like number 1. How many conversations do you need to have in order to do a transaction? So 40 conversations, laser focused, not just, hi, how are you doing? 40 real conversations for 1 transaction. And that's 40 contacts. You're gonna have to have a conversation with that 1 contact over and over and over and over. And you're gonna remember to have those conversations because you have them in your CRM and you have a task reminder that says, hey, I talked to so-and-so today, they want a CMA, and then set a reminder to make sure that you get back to them tomorrow or whatever day you told them with that CMA. That's part of controlling that chaos, which too is another class. And then this is not an activity, this is not on your choice list, but we will actually talk about business plan, activities, and the ratios or conversions. We will also talk about predicting the seasonalities, knowing and understanding. We have cycles and seasons, and so does the calendar. So we'll go over that. And then being very strategic. All right, you know where you want your business to come from, right? So what are those? I'm a big fan of 3 pillars of business. You have to have 3 sources of your ponds that you know you're going to go fish in, based on what kind of business you want. Could be buyers, could be sellers. But we're in to go and put those activities on your calendar and make sure that you are working in those areas at least 2 hours a day. You're working strategically on your 3 pillars of business. So I would ask Ronnie, I would ask Robin, I would ask Stacy, hey, I pulled the results and these are where this is where your business is coming from right now. But if I were to put a business plan together of the 3 areas you want to do more business with or from, what would those 3 areas be? Steve would need to answer that question too, so that you got, oh, that's great. I agree with you. Those are fun people to do business with. Now, how are we going to reach them? And what is that process going to look like? Because I want to put a business plan together that has a calendar so you and I know what activities we're going to do on a daily basis to reach these people and have the conversations. That's how strategic your business planning needs to be. These analysis, these are great to start off with. So let me pull these. Hang on. I'm going to give you my recommendation and then y'all can decide. I am all about self-awareness. Like, strip it down. Let's just all be real. None of us are perfect. And anybody you think is perfect is not. They're just putting on a face. So self-awareness is super important. And being able to really do an assessment of how well you're doing in life in all areas I mean, there's times where I feel like I'm being a great wife and I'm being a great Mimi, but guess what? A lot of times that means that my focus is now on these areas, and so now my business has slipped just a little bit. Or I've been so focused on business that now I'm slipping in these areas of my life. And honestly, my friend assessment is always, I suck at the friend thing because I'm so busy with the business and the Mimi and being a wife that I mean, my friends are you guys because y'all are who I talk to. And so doing this self-assessment is super important, and there is a self-assessment right behind that business plan, that's the SWOT test. Well, somewhere over there, it's this one. And I want to save this until we do this in actual class. So this is, I don't want to do this as an option for a homework assignment. And then the other one that we will go over to, you guys will sit down with your business partners or with yourself and do a SWOT analysis. It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. How many of you have done this? Jackson, you've done it?
So,
The SWOT? No? Has anybody else done it?
Through my work in building.
Yeah. This is really, really helpful. We try doing this at our office. We do this as an office as a whole. We do it as our individual teams, and then we also do it, I do it as my individual self. You got to be really aware of what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Where are there some opportunities for growth? And what are the threats? And the whole goal is not just the self-examination, but understanding what would be my distractions, or what would keep me from hitting my goals, or for us, doing what it is that we set out to do. So this will be something we'll go into, together, and then you guys will have blanks to go doing that. And then just putting that marketing and lead generating plan together. We'll spend some time on, but you got to get your foundation done first. Once you know what that plan is, again, we'll put it together on the calendar. It's further down in that packet. We'll make sure you guys put it on a calendar and make it happen. All right. There's so much in this packet, but the rest of this is really putting it on the calendar and making it happen. So the business projects and the when you're going to do what. Depending on what you guys choose, we can even go through budgeting, because at the end of the day, if you don't have the money to do the things that you want to do, then you got to know that the money is there and build off of what you have available to you, knowing that the money will come after you do it. I could talk money all day long. We had a really good money conversation just a little bit ago, especially right now. I could get into stocks and bonds and real estate, building wealth and debts and all of that. I'm a nerd when it comes to that stuff. So, y'all feel good about this? All right. So what do y'all think what are two good assignments that y'all can work on? I pulled out my 2 pages and I'll wait to see. I'll show my cards after you show yours. Brady, you've been on camera the whole time. Kind of, sort of, not really. Sandy has.
Mine is probably this one, because I just really haven't sat down and
Thought about where
figured
you
out
want
what
to
I'm
do business.
actually doing.
Okay.
So, and unfortunately, I just really don't like social media. I hate putting myself out there. I don't like being in the spotlight. So that's something I really think I have to work on.
There's ways of doing it without putting yourself out there.
I know, but unfortunately, I just don't think I'm getting it all. It's kind of a problem.
You were hired for that.
I know.
Yeah, so all the time.
It's
So-
better when I can do it for someone else.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
that's-
don't like doing it.
So is there someone that you have seen on social that markets what they do without marketing themselves that you can look to?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but
That's
I
what
know
you
there
need to look
has-
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I need to look at.
Yeah, I swipe and adapt a lot. But I'll tell you, I saw, I'll give you his name because I don't think he cares that much. I saw Jim Hall yesterday at Nautilus. Y'all know who Jim Hall is? So he owns Nautilus and he's been in business for a long, long time. And he's at the point in his life where his kids are grown. But even before that, he's got a business partner that runs the daily. He and his wife bought an RV, and I still remember the day. I was neighbors with him when he bought this RV. His kids were in junior high. Yeah, they were in junior high. They were still young kids. And they went on one trip, tried it out, and said, you know what? This is how we are going to stay connected to our kids, is through travel in the summers. And they did some pretty cool trips. Now, they are very physically active, as you would expect. They own a gym. Their kids are very physically active, but they committed to traveling once a summer together as a 1-month trip. And they went to some really cool places, did some cool things. It's been 11 years now that they've been doing this. Their kids have now graduated and they're in their 20s. So it's not cool to travel anymore. Plus, they just can't pause life. I mean, they now have responsibilities and are in school and all that. So this time on the summer trip, that memory for them is so near and dear to them that they actually flew the kids in using their air miles. And the kids at different points of the trip, they did a 7-week trip this time because it was just the two of them. And the kids would fly in and out at the different points of this vacation. And I said, man, Jim, that is so cool. I knew you guys were gone to Montana, but I didn't realize, number one, were gone that long and that the kids were still able to join y'all. And he said, yeah, I just didn't want to put that on social. I said, yeah, from your point of view, what was the reason you didn't want to put it on social? Well, I didn't want people to think I was bragging. And I said, well, let me tell you how I would see that. And it really just depends. If you would share on social the story that you just shared with me on why you did what you did and how that family time, what you learned through that family time, and told it from that point of view, that would resonate with people. And it would be a good reminder for someone like myself to make the most of all those moments that we are all presented, because life is short. And so really, sometimes I think it's just the story that you tell, not the picture you post, that matters and will touch people. Because at the end of the day, people do business with people they know, love, and trust, right? If you don't show a little bit of yourself, people don't know if they won't get to know you, and they won't ever decide if they like you. And if they don't pass that know and like, they're not going to trust you because they don't even know who you are. So being really clear about who you are and what your message is and the stories that you share are what people connect with. And through that connection, they'll hear what you have to say, or they'll respond to you whenever you ask a question so that you can provide them more information. Because you're not selling anything. You're providing a service, and you're growing your knowledge of what it is that you provide to people. And it's your knowledge that people will ask for. So I think if you just reframe how you're using social, you'll get more comfortable with using it, but you got to be really clear. And one way to do is just see who you think is doing it well and watch what they're doing and get comfortable with, okay, if I were to post something like that, what would it look like and what would I say? And then once you get comfortable with that, then you might find yourself just getting on the bicycle and riding. You may ride with training wheels for a little bit, but you'll take them off. Does that help a little bit?
Yeah, I just have to think of it.
Yeah, just reframe the purpose for what you're doing so that you're real clear on your messaging. But you also have to know, again, just like you said, just wherever that is. Who is it you're talking to? Who do you want to do business with? Because that will determine the spin of the story. That's really, really hard for me because I'm always like, okay, am I talking to the home buyer? Or am I talking to, realtors or people, entrepreneurs that I'm working with? Or, who am I talking to? So my story is kind of confusing sometimes, which you guys might have experienced that yourselves as you're watching my own social, because I'm not real clear on that. So. All right, I always like to share a book because I think books is a great way for us to learn. You guys have that book. Another really good book to read is When It Works, Succeed at Life, because it really talks about the importance of being very clear with your core values and your goals at work, but also knowing how and when to turn it off so you're present during the moments in which life you need to be present. My off button is broke and works sometimes, but yes, you need to turn it off. I am one of authenticity, so I'll tell you where I'm screwed up. And I'll tell you what all mistakes I've made. And I'm not perfect at any of this, which is why it makes it easy for me to teach it, because I'm doing it with you. All right. So was this worth y'all's time?
Thank you.
All right. Well, I'm glad you all came. I apologize for the mix-up last week. Sandy had it right on Teams because she followed the Teams button, but
Well, I thought it was here, but then.
then the Teams button.
nobody-
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I was
Cindy said,
like,
well,
I
think there's a
thought they
link,
said it was
so, yeah.
live,
Yeah.
but there's a button.
Kristen said, I think it's in the basement.
That was kind of scary too. Wasn't it? There's no spiders in Stacy.
How long have you been in this building?
5 years, 4 years, something like this. This was Kay Adams' First Financial. So it was Adams First Financial as a mortgage office for a long, long time. And then she died in the early 2000s. And I always wanted to buy, or mid. I don't remember what year it was. Do you?
It was earlier 2000s.
I always wanted to buy the building, but I didn't want to buy it right after she passed and put a mortgage office in it.
She was like the only
She was,
mortgage person, like she was the
she
only
was,
person.
she and Susan Denton were like
Yeah.
mortgage queens for a long time, but Kay was a very special lady. She would she in-housed her mortgages back when that really wasn't. Well, Guild's been servicing since the 60s, so I guess that wasn't unusual, but it was still
Manually.
Yeah, yeah, she was manually. So she would do mortgage loans that nobody else would do and let them season. And after they would season with online payments, then she would sell the servicing. So she really, if you listen to people, there are a lot of people that have stories of how she gave them the second chance they needed. And she was just that lady. And she died one night in her sleep of a heart attack, and Harold Rogers was in this building with the CPA office for a little while, and then Chris Reynolds had it. I bought it from Chris Reynolds, and he had done all of the updates, but the basement was still just storage when we bought it, and it was kind of a creepy place to be, but we needed it for more room, so we brought it up. But that's why you see the elephants. You'll see elephants throughout this building, because Kay Adams, there was a room upstairs that it was shelves full of, like, when she died and they had cleared out, Brent was saying that there was like 1,000 elephants. Like people, she had elephants even out, she had an elephant statue So people would bring her elephants as a token. So she had tons of elephants, and we have still some of her elephants. In fact, that's her old, that's a mantle out of one of her houses. Anyway, okay, so we decided this one, but I really, understanding your why is super important, so that's still one of your homework assignments too. And for those of you guys who are doing business for, or with somebody, you really need to do the past. Where has the business been coming from? Because it's really hard to decide where you want to do business with, if you don't know where it's coming from now. What I find ironic every time I do this, and I do this every 6 months, is that some people you're doing business with, you haven't really realized how much you're doing business with them because it just flows with such ease that you're really kind of taking you're taking it for granted because it's just so easy. So look through that. And the goal is for all of your business to be so much flow and ease that the power is in the flow and the ease. And that's what helps propel you.
So we've got three things. We've got
Yeah,
the
so-
business plan, the why, and
Yeah, this is just really good quiet time. How many of you guys are starting the day with just a little bit of quiet time, even if it's 5 minutes? No? Okay, well, we'll make sure that's on your calendar. Huh?
Out of
That's a
bed,
goal.
out of bed.
Yeah, out of bed. Well, you know what? Sometimes that few minutes of quiet before you get out of bed is really valuable. I mean, there's times where I'm laying there going, okay, this is my intentions and my goals for today. And that's what gets me excited to get out of bed. So it doesn't matter, there's no rules around quiet time. It's just important that you pause and have it. It's different for everybody. And if you haven't been doing that, it really is a practice to really just be mindful and present in the moment without thinking about anything else. Not going through your list of things to do, not, just being present in the moment. For me, I have to get outside so that I hear the bugs right now are really fascinating me. How they all kind of sing like a choir, all from now, and one will start and then they all have to chime in. I mean, that's just fascinating to me. And just watching the birds or just getting outside for a little bit and just sometimes turning your brain off means that you're just being present in the moment and seeing what's around you and listening and feeling the wind as it's blowing by, or just feeling, the difference in air just changes. The temperature of the air changes moment to moment. And you don't notice it unless you're really paying attention to how it feels on your skin. All of that is forms of meditation and being mindful and just shutting your brain off from everything else. So if you just do that for 5 minutes at the beginning of every day, when you sit down with your cup of coffee or whatever, and you go straight to your why from there, you'll have a lot more clarity and you'll probably find the words just spewing out because you stopped and paused for a moment. We dam up our ideas with too much activity too often. So that it's good. All right, cool.